Welcome to Prophy Conference, everyone. It's great to see you, and thank you so much for carving out time to join us for this amazing weekend of educational meetings and some really great information. I think you guys are going to have a blast with us this weekend, and it really means so much just to be able to spend time together, even if we have to do it virtually. Ever since the global pandemic started taking place last year, it was difficult on all of us. And I know while we expect to be able to get together soon in person again at some point, it is still important to us to try to connect online. So, man, while you're with us this weekend, please take the opportunity to chat with us in the chat room. Make certain that you get in the comments and you say where you're from and what you're doing and why you're here. And also make certain that you take some time to invite a friend. Registration is still going to be open and you can come and jump into this event even midstream. There's going to be some amazing opportunities for you to win some gift cards and awesome fun prizes along the way. We're doing some raffles. You want to check out our sponsor page on our website so you can go into the booth section there. Some of those are even doing their own raffle items. You can click on those items and find out where those items are. And we're going to be doing a scavenger hunt and breakout booth space a little bit later on at each one of our first 2 days. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. And hopefully you'll get a chance to meet someone else who's living with a bleeding disorder and someone who is dealing with many of the same challenges you are. But why are we all here? I mean, I have to say, that as a person living with a bleeding disorder, I oftentimes find myself in a place where I get discouraged and down a little bit, sometimes where I just don't feel like doing it. We talk an awful lot about mental health, but I think sometimes it just takes a little bit of good fuel in the tank to keep you going. I had a friend of mine years ago in my first job that used to say all the time, if you get water in your gas tank, your engine will always run rough. But if you keep good gas in your gas tank, then it will take you a long way and it'll be a much smoother ride. The truth is, we all need that good fuel. We need encouragement. We need inspiration. And I love doing that with quotes. I love doing that with great educational speakers. And there's lots of that information you can find out there. But one of the things that you're going to find this weekend that you can't find anywhere else is an opportunity to connect with other people who are experiencing living life with a bleeding disorder and have to cross those same challenges day in and day out. So we're excited to be a part of this with each other. Some of the things that I hope that we answer for you this weekend is, how do you address in getting inspired when apathy tries to set in? How do you address continuing on the path of your treatment regimen when you really just feel like giving up? And I think there's some great tips on how you can do that. Matter of fact, I wrote a few of them down and I'll just share some with you now. Rest, number one, is probably one of the biggest things that's so important for all of us. And I think it's really detrimental to most of us if we don't get enough rest. I know it sounds simple, and maybe we don't think about that a lot as a person living with a bleeding disorder. But the truth is, if you get in the place where you find yourself discouraged, you find yourself down, a lot of times just good old-fashioned sleep will help you get caught up. And maybe rest is something different for you. Maybe it's not just about sleep, but it's also about going out and going fishing, doing some hobby that you haven't done in a while. I love to play guitar, and so being able to sit down and enjoy some time with music really helps me to unwind. And I think maybe for us, sometimes we just need those moments to help reconnect to what we love so that we can break out of the cycle of feeling like we're not good enough, we don't have what it takes, we're tired, and it's really a great way to break the cycle of apathy. Another thing that I think is really important is to get out of your environment. Sometimes I just get in the car and go drive across town, go to the gas station, get a soda, whatever it is that you do to kind of just get your mind set free from wherever it is that you're stuck. That to me is something that is really important about not letting apathy set in. It's something that's easy to do, but it's also something that's so important for helping you get out of maybe this negative cycle that you're in that says that I just don't want to do it today. man, forget about the treatment for a minute. Go jump in the car and go get a soda and then come back and do your treatment because that's where you're going to find the biggest health connections. Another thing that I think is so critical for all of us when it comes to prophylaxis treatment, staying on your regimen, staying inspired, is connecting with others. Now, look, I know I'm preaching to the choir because if you're watching this video and you're getting involved this weekend with us at Prophy Conference, you guys are the ones who are connecting. But most of us know someone out there. And look, I've been an offender myself. So I know what it's like to not be able to connect with others and feel like that you can't connect, and maybe even to feel like you got to hide in your hidey hole in order to be able to get rest. Sometimes you need that to break out of that cycle of of just being alone, and you need to go find somebody new, somebody you've never met before. You need to go network with some people who have hemophilia, who have a bleeding disorder, or maybe who dealing with some of the same challenges you're dealing with, and you need to go figure out how to get connected with them so that you can get back into the routines that give you life and make sure that you're safe and sticking to your regimen. Another thing that seems simple but is so true is just avoid negativity. Sometimes we're so committed to certain relationships in our life that we start to get negative, and then we stay negative, and then we stay negative. And before you know it, you're stuck in a negative pattern you can't get out of. They say it takes 21 days to start a new habit. One of the things that I want to challenge you to do is that if you are having trouble getting on track with your treatment regimen, try it for 21 days. It's basically a month, and if you can get on it, your doctor tells you, hey, you need to do this once a week. Hey, you need to do this 3 times a week. You need to do this twice, whatever that is, whatever your treatment regimen is. Just commit in your own mind. You're going to do that thing for your joints, for your health, for your body. Then you're going to do that for 1 month. You're going to do it for 21 days. And before you know it, you've formed a new habit. And you know what? Old habits die hard. So if you can make that an old habit, it's really much easier to just rest and relax and keep on track because you've got it as a habit. And last thing I would say is try something new. Sometimes you get stuck in the same routine and you think, well, I'm going to just always do the same things every day, and I don't know how to get out of this rut that I'm in. Well, sometimes it just takes you to just go and say, you know what, I'm going to break out. And instead of me doing it at night 3 times a week, or at night 1 time a week, or whenever my regimen is, you decide, you know what, I'm going to do it in the morning. Sometimes just doing something new will help. I'm going to set an alarm on my phone. Those are some amazing tricks that will help you break out of this negative cycle, help you get into a positive cycle that will help you be able to learn and grow to stick to that regimen and keep going with it. And if that starts to wear down and you find your energy waning and you find your difficulty in trying to keep up with that pace, change it up again. Try something else new. Maybe you need to do it at lunch break at work. You could go in and go to the car, go get yourself a sandwich and take yourself a shot. I mean, however it works for you. We've heard some great tips already. We're going to hear from some more people this week about great tips that they're doing to stay inspired. But there's any way you can do it to keep going and to stay on track. That's what matters, because your body is worth it. You have value and you are treasured. And you know what the reality is? You need all of these things and the treatment to be able to stay on track and keep healthy. And we hope to be able to provide you with a lot of those tools and resources this weekend. Look, I hope this is something that you can reference, but I also hope you take advantage of this live experience. Take some notes, write it down, get some paper out. I mean, I know paper's a little like old school, but get some paper and write some notes down. You're going to hear some great information this weekend from some amazing speakers. And when I say amazing, I really, really mean amazing. We have Kevin Harris this weekend that's talking about transitioning to adulthood. How do you go from being a teenager and just listening to what mom and dad says all the time to having to own your own hemophilia and your own treatment plan and take care of it yourself? How do you transition into that adulthood timeline? We're going to have some amazing speakers talking about females living with hemophilia. This is a real problem. And people are discovering all over the place that they had hemophilia all along. If they just had a little bit of information, they could have improved their own joint health. Don't get to the end of life with all this joint damage and go, oh, if I just applied a little bit of treatment, I could have actually solved that problem. We're going to even have some great information on long acting solutions. We're going to talk to people about how they have integrated prophylaxis treatment in their life, what they've done to inspire them. We have one man that's actually spent some time in jail, and while he was in jail, he actually got on prophylaxis treatment, and his life changed forever. And he got out, and once he got out, he was like, he said, I didn't even know life could be this good because the treatment really helped him to feel so much better. We have some other amazing things that talking about joint health this week. We have all kinds of things. And then Saturday, we're going to be really excited to do a panel discussion with some guys from all walks of life that are going to come together, and they're going to talk about how they integrated Prophy and how it really impacted their life. And actually, get honest, we're going to talk about some moments when maybe we didn't do it exactly how we were supposed to do, and how that also made an impact on our joints and our lifestyle. So we are so glad you are with us this weekend. We're so glad that you took time out of your busy schedule, because I know how busy everyone is right now. But you know what? It's so meaningful to be able to be together, even in this way, in a remote and virtual environment, and spend some time together this weekend, really encouraging each other, not only to stay on track, but how not to fail. How do you stay consistent? How do you keep going when you don't feel like it? And I hope beyond anything this weekend that you build some new friendships and you get some inspiration. We all need it. Not one of us is a void of getting just tired and getting down on ourselves. And so we need the encouragement. I need the encouragement. I'm glad you're here. Send me some encouragement, and we can do this together. So thank you for joining us, and we're going to get ready for some amazing speakers. All right, I've got my good friend Ethan Fields with me today. Ethan, it is great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us for Prophy Conference.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I am really just proud to have you guys here. I want to say a big thank you to Paragon for sponsoring this experience and this weekend. I know we really could not do what we do if it wasn't for the partnership that we have with Paragon. And so your role there is been not only to be helpful to the community, but it's also been a tremendous help to us as an organization as we're trying to serve patients alongside of you guys. So thank you so much for all that you do, Ethan. We really do appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for that recognition. It's been a joy to work alongside you guys and get to know you guys over the last several years and being a part of this community.
Awesome. Yeah, I think one of your first events, if I'm not mistaken, was actually in New Orleans at a gala or something we did. I don't
That's
remember. Is
correct.
that right? Yeah.
Yeah. Haven't
Good.
missed one since.
Hey, look, we call ourselves the welcoming committee for a reason. I mean, a lot of new guys, they got to go through, they send them to us first because we give them the 411, we tell them what's
That's right.
up. But man, this weekend is so important to us, and we're super excited about being a part of a conversation talking about prophylaxis treatment and treatment regimen. And man, there's nothing that I think about more that's more important than people getting their medications on time, how they get their medications, it being quickly serviced in a high touch capacity. And you guys do that really, really well. But I know a lot of people might know, what is your role with Paragon? What do you do, and how are things going right now?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So, based out of Nashville, Tennessee, serving as a senior account executive and really just working in the Southeast. I've had the privilege of working in a lot of states in that region, and yeah, just obviously continuing to dive into patient care and make sure that our patients are taken care of. I think recently, and how COVID's kind of affected that is just continuing to add depth and quality, value to those relationships, continuing to provide better education and really just interacting at it on a different level. It's been a virtual world, and so finding creative ways to interact and meet new people still, just over Zoom and things like that.
That's great. I know it's been a lot harder for all of us to communicate just because we are remote, and I have missed the events a lot in person because I'm a touchy feely kind of person, and so
Same
I
here.
like the hugs and I appreciate the eye to eye contact. But I know that that's also been different for you. Has that uh, changed how you guys have been doing business? How is the shipping process going? How is the delivery process going? Are things still working smoothly on that end for you guys?
Yes, sir. They have. Yeah, they haven't really missed a beat. We had a little hiccup last week, with the snowstorm and all that good stuff across the country. And so just again finding creative ways to escalate items, and whether that's we're driving more shipments personally, and the reps driving the shipments to the patient's home, and just ensuring that they're getting there so our patients can stay on schedule and not miss a beat, regardless of COVID or storms or whatever may come.
That's excellent, man. Well, I just appreciate all that you do, and I know the work that you do is so important with all that. How are things going in terms of what I know specifically there are some physical events starting to happen again. People are starting to get out a little bit. States like Texas and Mississippi now are kind of opening up a little bit more. What would you say is probably the number one thing you look the most forward to as we reintegrate back to some level of normalcy?
Yeah, I think we're all itchy to get back in person, and I haven't hugged anybody in this community in a long time. It seems like, and so it's been over a year really, in getting in person with a lot of folks, and just super excited to get back together, be able to connect and hug and share a laugh in person.
Yeah, yeah, I agree fully. Well, thank you again so much for being a part of Prophy Conference. Thanks for being a part of Hope and helping us to be able to serve as many people as we do. We really, truly could not do it without all your support. And man, you have any advice for anybody in terms of? I know you deal with helping keep people on a specific regimen all the time. Is there any tips or any advice you'd give to somebody that may be having a hard time staying on track?
Yeah, I think it's just, man, it's cool to see the success stories, in this community, and patients that we have on service that really just feel confident in who they are and their treatment. And we live in a day and age where we have access to a lot of great products and a lot of great treatment options. And so I think just staying on that and being consistent, you see the confidence, you see the quality of life, and the ability to get out and kind of be you and just go do what you want to do. And it provides a lot of freedom and a lot of opportunity. So um, that's there and attainable in this day and age, and would encourage anybody to stay on track and be with somebody that helps you stay on track as well.
Yeah, that's great. You bring up a great point about community is so critical. Sometimes when things are going, you know, rough for me, I should say, or I don't feel as motivated, one of the best things to do is to pick up the phone and call somebody, call a friend and say, "Hey, I'm having a, day where I just don't feel like doing it," and have somebody to just encourage and give you life is so
That's
important.
right.
And you do that well, Ethan. So thanks again for being here. Thanks again for being a part of this weekend and supporting all the things you do. And we'll look forward to seeing you soon, hopefully.
You got it. Thank you so much
All
for
right.
having me. Looking forward to it.
Take care.
Uh-huh.
All right. It is good to see Gilbert Russell, the man with the plan, on here with us at Prophy
Yeah.
Conference. Man, thanks so much for joining me today.
Hey, Jonathan, you know how it is. You don't have to have anything for me to want to show up. So I appreciate what you're doing. I love Hope. I love this opportunity of spending some time with you.
Well, the biggest thing that I miss right now about this season with us having to do social distancing and all of the things that we're having to do right now is just I miss the time together where we can really
Oh,
just get
I
those warm
know.
embrace moments because I'm a touchy feely kind of guy like you are, and so I just love the eye connection and the
I know.
big
I know.
hugs. So I'm missing that.
Yeah, you know what? It's a good thing. I think, somehow or another I've been protected and shielded from COVID because I can't help myself.
Mhm.
I
That's
need
good.
I need the contact. I need the touches. So
That's right.
it's been tough, but we've been doing good otherwise, in spite of that.
That's good. Well, I really just want to say a huge thank you to you and ASAP Pharmacy for sponsoring events like this, because this has been such a bizarre and
Yeah.
different set of circumstances, and I know it's really been, all of us have had to try to figure out how to still stay connected in spite of all the things, and you guys are one of the best at making sure that we all stick together. And I just want to say a big thank you to you guys for all your support. We really couldn't do what we do without your help.
Well, me personally, I love me some hope. So you can never do no wrong. I'm always looking for the opportunity to contribute and to help. And most of all, what we really love to do is to serve. So any way that we can serve, any way that we can participate in meeting needs, we're gonna go where we have to go and do what we have to do. So
Yeah,
thanks
that's
for
awesome.
staying faithful in that and what you do.
Yeah, I have my journal here for this year. Actually, it says "serve"
Okay.
on the front, and it's just a reminder that
Yes.
to do the same things, to love
Absolutely.
people, and to serve people where it matters most. I know that's near and dear to your heart, and
Mhm.
you guys do that so well. And I'm amazed because in the world that we live in, especially with having to send out shipments and
Uh-huh.
meeting people's needs, it's been tough, but we're talking this weekend specifically about people staying inspired in their regimen. And so doing
Sure.
that prophylactic treatment, it's difficult enough to get my teenagers to brush their teeth every day.
Right.
And
Right.
so,
Right.
but to sometimes for me to want to stick my own self with a needle and the routine and the regimen that I have to, and then you add on top of that how life just throws at you all these curveballs, and you have
Sure.
to make changes that interrupt your schedule.
Sure.
How is it that you stay encouraged when things don't turn out quite like you expected them to?
Oh gosh. Well, I think it comes down to realizing that this is beyond me.
Mhm.
That when I get up in the morning, I get up with a purpose. That people are going to be placed in front of me. And it can work two ways. And I have found there's never been a time, no matter who I'm around, no matter what situation I find myself in, we go through this process of dual encouragement. It starts out, it's like, how you doing? Well, I don't want to complain. Well, yeah, come on, you know, let's talk about it. Let's find out what's going on here. And the next thing that we know, I can find myself sometimes doing the same thing. But we've made that a brand of who we are. We've kind of normalized this level of care where we want to step into people's lives, understanding that there are some challenges there, but helping them to not only build bridge, but to even learn to normalize. It's okay to feel bad. It's just not good to stay bad. So find a way to make a difference in what you're experiencing and use that as a bridge to go out and help someone else. And we've experienced a lot of success, especially in the season where everybody has been withdrawn and had to stay away from people. Oh man, it's the next best thing to be in there with. So
That's so good, because I do think that it is critical that you go out of your way to help
mhm,
people maybe in a different way than we did before. But
mhm.
I've found that calling friends on the phone and
Oh
these
yeah,
Zoom call moments sometimes like
sure.
this, where you're able to connect with people, are just invaluable. And I know you do that with me on a regular basis. You give me calls and
Yeah.
encourage me and pray
Okay.
for me.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
need that. And
Yeah.
I really want to say how much I appreciate your constant encouragement in
Yeah.
my life. And there's those moments, I think all of us get to where we get tired on the journey, and I'm really excited because you're going to be doing a session this weekend specifically addressing that topic, right? You're going to be talking about how to stay encouraged.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So looking forward to it. I mean, it's like a gift for me, I think some of it springs from, be honest with you, is that I was never encouraged.
Mm,
I was a person that grew up that wanted a lot of attention, wanted people to kind of push and move me, and never got it. Never got it when I needed it. Never got it the way that I could have gotten it. And it is something that resonated in me, that from just a very early age, that I wanted to make a difference for others. And so encouragement is just, I mean, I know what encouragement can do. I know how far encouragement can take any and everyone when they get a nice dose of it. And so we have made that a brand, especially at ASAP. I mean, our um, our mission statement even talks about our call to be servants, and we recognize the value of each and every person. We educate and equip and inspire each one to live a fuller quality of life beyond the prescription, you
mm-hmm,
know?
mm-hmm.
And so it's those moments where you're by yourself, you don't really know how. I'm like, I know how I feel, you know, but do I have to stay in this space? You know, and on the one hand, yes, you have human emotions. And so you need to recognize that you have human emotions, but you know what? You don't have to stay there.
That's so
You've
good.
got,
You know,
yeah.
the, I think for all of us, one of the things that makes living with a bleeding disorder, or really any rare disease for that matter, difficult is that your rhythms often will change. Sometimes
Mhm.
the cycle is one way, and then
Sure.
you hit a little bump in the road, and maybe the cycle elongates, or maybe at other times it just comes to a screeching halt, and then it
Yeah.
starts up again. And it's
Yeah.
almost harder to get into routines and rhythms. And yet, routines are oftentimes the very thing that is part of the solution. So you
Sure.
find yourself having to like crank it up again and
Yeah.
get back into a regimen.
Yeah.
And I think the same is true about kind of getting in your own head sometimes about these things. You get down a little bit, you feel like this is going to be forever. And for us, it's in the name, right? We're all
Hmm.
about hope, and we're like,
Yeah.
if you believe that a better future is possible for you, then you will have a better outcome. And so, how do you inspire people to get them out of that stuck moment and get into a better
Yeah.
pattern so they can keep going?
Yeah. You know, and sometimes, just as you were saying earlier, it's just the engaging of people.
That's
You
true.
know, it's developing an ear. You know, I learned something once in network marketing. They said, you know, if you ask people to talk about themselves, you can find everything else that you need to sell them something. You know, because they'll tell you, people like to talk about themselves,
Yeah,
and so
makes sense.
when you flip that the other way, you really begin to develop a very discerning and empathetic heart. You
Mm,
know, and I was even when I was thinking about even this breakout session, I remember the first hemophilia conferences that I used to go to, and one of the things that always stood out to me was this I used to call it the Vulcan mind telepathy thing that hemophilia guys would have. They could look at each other and know exactly what they were feeling. They could, you know, without saying a word, they knew, you know, whether a guy was having a severe bleed or a bad bleed. They could tell whether he was depressed about something and needed someone to talk to without even uttering a word. And I was like in awe of this, you know, and it helped me to develop that same type of um, empathetic approach to specialty pharmacy, where we moved out of the whole realm of trying to sell people in a sense and really just care about them. As a community, I push that it's not any one specialty pharmacy or any one product. We're a community. And if we start acting like that, I think everybody benefits. They truly do. So we serve first, and whatever's for us has a way of coming to us. And I mean, ASAP has been around 20 years, and if you ranked us against all of the others, we probably wouldn't be in the middle. We might be in the lower half, but you know what? We still have existed because of the level of care that we provide. So somehow or another, it balances itself out.
That's so
Hope
good.
that
Well,
makes sense.
it does. It makes a tremendous amount of sense, and I just believe that the work that you do is so needed and is so important. And you guys do a fantastic job at it. I know you've served us, and we've watched you serve so many other patients and families. And so, what's the best way that people can reach out to you, Gilbert, if they want to get in touch with you?
You know what? We've got a website. Our website is pretty interactive. And so now you can go on our website, you can ask any question, you can get any information about it. You're going to get a response back within 24 hours or less. Somebody's going to reach back out to you and try to answer your questions. So we get those. Anyone that reaches us on our website, that's at www.wecareasap.com.
That's great.
The other way, I give away my work phone number, so you can call that 24/7, 708-990-8770. But those are two key ways in which you can get in contact with us, and you'll get a response right away from us. And again, for me, it's not a matter of it can be any question. It can be any need that you have. It can be anything that you're pondering. We want to serve you first. All of this means, we're here to serve. And so,
well, I've seen it put into action over and over and over and over again. And so I can attest to the fact that you mean what you say and you say what you mean. And I just appreciate that. And man, I again want to thank you so much for being a part of Prophy Weekend. And I'm looking so forward to your session on encouragement. I think it's going to be a fabulous session. You can join that. If you haven't registered yet for this event, you can actually log on to the registration website and put in your information, and we will text you the link for Gilbert's session so that you can be able to get a part of that. But look, thank you so much, Gilbert, for you and for ASAP sponsoring this weekend, helping us to do these moments, because we truly could not do it without your partnership. And we look forward to seeing you and hopefully getting a physical hug when that's legal to do so.
That's it. I'm trying to work on the hieroglyphic thing. I don't know. We got to figure out a way to. We got to get touch or smell-o-vision or something going on here where we can get in contact. But I'd be remiss, man, if I didn't thank you.
Oh.
We don't often thank you for being faithful, for caring about people beyond even some of the challenges that you face. You've never in all the years that I've known you, never shirked any chance that you could to step into people's lives where they needed it the most. And so it takes faithfulness, and we know where that faithfulness comes from. It takes faithfulness to be able to do that. And I thank you for being vulnerable and transparent enough to let God take you to places where, other men couldn't go, but he's chosen you specifically. And I have so much honor and respect that you would be willing to take those steps and do them as well as you do. So Thank you, Jonathan, for modeling the level of care that we get a chance to ride the coattails of. You got my prayers, man.
I'm humbled by your words, and I sincerely appreciate it. And it really, just like you, it comes from a genuine place, and it's not something that we have to work at trying to conjure up. It comes naturally when you walk
Yeah,
in true
absolutely.
people. And man, I appreciate how much you inspire us. So
All right.
we love you and look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you
All right.
again for everything, and we'll look forward to hopefully catching up and catching your breakout session here real soon.
There you go. It's right around the corner. See you soon.
All right,
Love
bye.
you. Bye.
Well, I've got my good friend, Dr. Danielle Nance, with me today. It is so great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us for Prophy Conference this weekend.
Hi, Jonathan. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm glad to be here. I'm currently working as a hematologist in Arizona, in Gilbert, Arizona, at Banner MD Anderson Cancer Center, where I am building the first hemophilia treatment center in the Banner Health Network system. And that has been a big challenge, a lot of fun. I have personal history with hemophilia. I was born with hemophilia myself and had my first joint bleed at the age of 2. And so I have had some struggles along the way figuring out how to cope with hemophilia, and then have a healthcare system that's not really geared up to taking care of women with bleeding disorders. And then along the way, I was blessed with 2 children, and my youngest son does have severe hemophilia as well. So we have lots of experience with working out how to get prophylaxis right. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to share that with you folks today.
Well, it's amazing because you've had all the experiences, right? As a caregiver, as someone living with a bleeding disorder yourself, having to fight the uphill battle of getting even diagnosed yourself, even from having your own clinical background. I mean, I know a lot of times, so many people, I hear the stories over and over again, how there's so much frustration sometimes with where they feel like, I know something's wrong. I know that I need to get a diagnosis, but we're oftentimes looked at sometimes as lay people because we don't have maybe the degree or the information behind the educational standpoint. And here you are, you've got all the credentials and you've got your own experiences. And I know enough about your story to know even that was a little bit of an uphill battle for you too, right?
It does. It really is. And, and it takes a lot of science. It takes a lot of us working together with our physicians and being part of clinical trials and being willing to experiment and also get a lot of imaging. So, a lot of x rays, a lot of ultrasounds, a lot of CT scans to document that those pains are actually bleeds and that they really do need to be treated with factor. But I think today we're going to focus a little bit more on preventing nosebleeds and how we can work with our schedules and our bodies to get all of our intended prophylactic doses.
That's so true. And I'd love to know a little bit about your journey with that, as far as you've of course been able to treat your own son for his whole life, and then of course your own joint bleeds. Have you ever had joint damage of your own that you've had to deal with, that you've had to respond to? And were you always on prophylaxis? I guess maybe that's a good way to start too.
Oh, Jonathan, what a wonderful question. I actually was not on prophylaxis after um, until after both of my children were born. And while I did have bleeds, the older I got, the more bleeds I ended up having. So I have technically moderate hemophilia, about 4%, 2 to 4% consistently throughout my lifetime. And so I wasn't, there would be periods of time where I would go several years without having any bleeds. And I would wonder myself, do I really have a problem? But then, you go on vacation or you step wrong and boom, you've got another bleed. So because of that, I definitely have joint problems. I have right ankle, right hip, left knee, and both my forearms. Actually, I can't open jars anymore because I had so many untreated bleeds in my forearms as a younger person, and those just weren't life threatening, and so you just didn't treat bleeds unless they were life threatening, in the past. So when I was first able to have my own factor in the home, that was, I think I was maybe 23. It was after I started volunteering with the National Hemophilia Foundation at my home chapter in Utah. And so learning to self infuse with those courageous young boys at camp, that was really, I mean, my inspiration. You see 7-year-old boys that can stick themselves, and I was determined to do it myself. But those boys and my brothers and my family members in the hemophilia, and now my many, many sisters, have really been that strength to help me in my curiosity to be a physician. And and even the hemophilia community has helped me get into medicine. So I really owe my success to my hemophilia community. So I'm
Wow.
so grateful now that I'm in a position that I can help to give back in a meaningful way to help others and to continue to gain strength myself.
That's so incredible. That's so incredible. Well, you're an inspiration to us all, really, and I just always appreciate your empathy that you exude in every time that I communicate with you about different things, but also just I watch you as you've given presentations throughout the community in various circles, and you always just you've lived it. You don't just talk about it from a place of just research alone. You have walked it out, and it's evident in the way that you communicate with the community, and that is so appreciated. I mean, I can just tell you from the community point of view, I know for me as a patient, even, it is so the work that you do is so appreciated and valued. Now I have, I guess, maybe another question about the journey that you've been on. Have you ever experienced times, I mean, some of the people that are watching right now maybe feeling like they have, they're just tired of giving
Hmm.
themselves infusions. They get weary. I mean, I've been there. I've needed my support system. My sometimes my wife has to encourage me, even now. To say, that's my elbow. You got to keep doing the right thing. So how is it that you have? Have you ever had a time? I guess would be the best way to position that question. Is have you ever had a time where you felt like you were just tired of doing it, even though it was an option, even though it was prescribed, even though you had a regimen? Did you ever get weary of doing it yourself?
Oh gosh, Jonathan, there when I first had prophylaxis, it was just twice a week, and there was a question of, gosh, do I really need this factor? And then of course with having young kids around and my job, I mean, it was really a lot of times it was really my husband who was like, Danielle, it's Thursday, you got to get your dose today, and he would pull it out of the fridge and help me set it up. And I'm kind of slumped in the corner going, oh, it's too hard. And I mean, I I think that that's the other thing is like, especially when Isaac was little, and I had to get up and leave for school, leave for work way earlier before they were getting up, and there was just no way my husband was going to get his infusion in the morning without my help. It was already a struggle. He did a lot of infusions, but it wasn't something that could be accomplished in the morning. And so, we did the prophylaxis at night for quite a few years. And I mean, I'm working in the hemophilia community, and I know that it's better to get it at night, or I'm sorry, to get it in the morning. I teach people that if they can do it in the morning, they should. And it just, it wasn't happening at our house. So we switched to the evening, and we did that for a few years. My son didn't get bleeds because we were at least consistent most nights to get that prophylaxis. And it's really that consistency. So whether you're getting it in the morning before school, or you're getting it in the evening, at least it's getting in there, it's sealing up the leaks in your blood vessels, And it's really protecting your body and protecting you from those severe bleeds. The more we know about hemophilia, the more we realize that every bleed matters, everyone, especially in a joint, because your joints are like elephants. They don't forget even one bleed. They are going to be reminding you, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but a few years down the road, you're going to have that ache and you're going to have that pain, and you're going to remember, I had that joint bleed, and gosh darn it, I can still feel it.
Yeah.
So every prophy dose really matters, and it really helps us to heal up and stay healthy and strong.
You bring up a great point about the fact that I love that every bleed matters. There's such a tendency sometimes, I think, especially and we work with a lot of young adults in the work that we do with helping people through transitions, right?
Mm.
And one of the things that I find is that a lot of times we've been on Prophy maybe my whole life. I start to move out on my own. I've got my own apartment. I'm having to manage my own care. And standing on your own 2 feet is a little bit of a challenge to feel like, that question that you got healthy joints. Maybe you've been on Prophy your whole life
Hmm.
and you've got good joints. One of the things that I think, and you and I have had some conversations about this in the past, where I think most people don't realize that even one bleed in a joint can actually cause enough damage to start a trend if you're not careful. It doesn't have to be 40 bleeds. It could really just be one or two really bad bleeds that could really trigger something negative in a joint that, like you said, it has a
Hard
memory.
to
You
come,
really can't
yeah, it's hard to
reverse it.
come back from. Yeah. And that's part of why joints are so vulnerable too, because the blood vessels aren't actually supposed to be inside the joint. They're around that joint capsule. And when you get a bleed, it stretches out that joint capsule. So the architecture is never the same. It's like blowing up a balloon and then deflating it, and it's all wrinkly. Like it never goes back to its pre expanded way again. So even when the joint heals, it's been stretched out and it doesn't have the same strength anymore. The other thing is that blood, it brings calcium in there with it, and calcium is like sand, and it will actually kind of erode through very slowly that slippery, glistening, smooth cartilage layer, and that can take years. But again, that's why we want to keep the blood out of those joints, because they won't, they'll just be normal joints if they never have a bleed in them. But even a small bleed, we hope it heals completely, but it takes a long time. So yeah, catching those bleeds as soon as possible, wrapping them up, resting them, which is, in my mind, the factor's the easy part. It's the rest of the joint. It's resting it. It's staying off of it for a couple of days. It's taking it easy. Now that's the hard part. The factor is easy. It helps, the pain is gone quickly, but it's really like taking your time and protecting that joint. It's going to be vulnerable to rebleeding for a whole 2 weeks. So especially those of you who have mild hemophilia, or you're not used to prophylaxis, it's new for you. Recognizing that 2 weeks is the bare minimum for healing after a wound, especially a joint and a muscle bleed too. Muscles, again, take a long time. Those muscle fibers have to stitch themselves back together, and that really takes some time. So protecting that area and going easy on your body. And it's just so hard to slow down because there's so many fun things to do all day long, or work. If you're a mother, or your father with young kids, slowing down is like impossible. Um,
Yeah, you're so right. And I talk about this too. Like, I mean, I know that you have a lot of insight when it comes to sort of the emotions that we go through. Even our own emotions can actually have an impact on inflammation, right?
there's definitely a mind body connection in everything we do. And I feel like when you've got a bleed, and certainly a painful spot, that generates a lot of terror, quite frankly. And that's our deep brain, that's our deep emotions, that's helping to steer us into a safer environment. And it's very important that you're talking to either your clinical team or your friends and loved ones, and let them comfort you, because it's a really lonely place to be, to have hemophilia, especially if there's nobody else in your family that has it, and going through that deep pain. It's A joint bleed isn't a type of pain that you can move away from. You can't change position and have that bleed feel better. Um, the only thing you can do is be still and take your pain medication and wait for the pain to get better. And and it's hard, I think, sometimes for someone who's never experienced that to really understand how deeply emotionally disturbing it is to be so worried about the health of your body. I think in that, I feel so blessed that I get to take care of patients and to be able to be part of their journey back to health, or maintaining their health. And recognizing that it's scary to have a bleed, even if you've had one before. I've seen grown men literally just freaking out because they had a bleed and they haven't had one for years, but just so terrified, knowing that long road ahead of them for the recovery. So if you have access to a therapist to just talk about your feelings, then it's really important that we acknowledge that any bleed, whether it's big or small, it triggers that response in our body, that flight or flight response, and to just be aware that that is a healthy and normal response to a bleed. um, right now it's not a needed response because by and large we're safe and we have treatment, but it's still, we need to recognize it and respect it, and offer some comfort to it.
So good. I have to give you credit because I don't remember how long ago this was. It must have been, we had just met, and I think it was pretty early on. Maybe this may have been like 10 or 11 years ago. I might be dating
It was a
myself
while
there.
ago. Yeah.
But yeah, so we were in the hallway at some event somewhere, and I was still treating myself. I mean, I was definitely on prophylaxis, and I was definitely, but I was an adult before prophylaxis was recommended, number one, and number two, I'm a little thick-headed, so it took me a good, 4 or 5 years of my physician's preaching before I started to really,
Oh yeah.
respond and integrate into my life. But I was still sort of at this place where maybe I was infusing on one schedule, and I really should have been infusing on maybe a more regular schedule. And I remember we were walking through the hallway, and you said to me, I made some comment about how factor doesn't help with pain, and you very lovingly and gently, in the way that only you can do, encouraged me, and you said, actually it does, and I mean, it couldn't have been a more shocking revelation to me at the time, because I knew that factor was a part of the solution, but I was living in so much pain all the time
Mhm.
that for whatever reason, I didn't connect the dots that when I infused more, I could actually live in less pain, and pain medication wasn't the answer. Now,
Right.
thankfully, I haven't been on a lot of pain medication in my lifetime anyway. I've had to go on and off of it for surgeries and things like that, but
Sure.
I still was just living with it. I was living with this pain, and it really opened up my mind in a way that I could start to have some conversations with my medical team and start to really say, you know what, maybe something's wrong here. Maybe I need to really evaluate this. And that led to doing PK studies and finding out that I had a
Mhm.
short half-life and needing to make adjustments. And so I'd love to say that I've been perfect on my amazing schedule since then, but I haven't.
You
But I really
haven't.
have been so much better, because in my mind, I was able to connect these dots that said, you know what, while it's not a pain medication, it doesn't necessarily address the nerve endings. What it's doing is, though, it is helping you to resolve the problem that's causing you pain. And it really is something. But what you said earlier is so perfect. Consistency is everything. It's
Yeah,
about the regularity of your patterns more so than it is even sometimes, whether you're
you're
taking
getting it at the
much or
perfect
long.
time of day. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah, because when we get our factor regularly, then all those little tiny bleeds that start just from running around the planet, those little tears in our blood vessels that slowly, or a tiny bleed, and then they break open and become a big bleed, that doesn't happen because they continually reseal up when you get your next dose of Prophy. So you're really preventing that leak into those weak areas in your body, and you're just keeping those blood vessels healthy and strong all the time. Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's the point of prophylaxis. It's to keep your blood vessels that get torn up during your movement around planet Earth, to keep them healthy and strong. Yeah,
That's
so
so good.
that's
Well,
exactly right. Thank you for reminding me of that.
yeah, well, and it's so true because, again, we often say sometimes our biggest problem is right between our two ears. For me, that was something that was
Mhm.
really life changing. And again, I had been on Prophy for some time, but just having to think about it from a different way. That's why we love having moments like this weekend to be able to talk about this, because the truth is we all go through ups and downs. And I do believe that our mental state sometimes has a bigger impact on the behavior of how we actually you know continue to be consistent, and
That's
uh
right.
and that's really difficult sometimes.
Yeah, and I will say, it's, in those, uh, so working that hard, getting all of those infusions, that is such an expression of self-love, and it's so much, you know, um, protecting your health and staying on track, and helping each other, encouraging each other in that journey of self-love, and knowing that, as we protect ourselves, and we're able to make the world a better place.
It's so true. I want to address one last thing before we go, and I think that's
Hmm.
really, really important is, for maybe some moms out there that are feeling like something is wrong, they're suspicious maybe of that. Maybe they should be on prophylactic treatment. Maybe there's something wrong that they need to get. Maybe it's even they need to get diagnosed, and they're having trouble getting there. They're having trouble. They don't know who to talk to. They don't know where to go. Everybody kind of maybe has brushed them off when they brought it up. Is there anything that you would encourage some of those women to
Hmm.
really push through and have the fortitude to really just continue to seek answers, even though they've had a difficult time?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Of course, I want to see every mother who has hemophilia be tested and diagnosed. And as we're learning more and more about how hemophilia affects women, one thing that we need is data. So we need that women who suspect they have a bleed to get their primary care doctor to order a CT scan or an ultrasound and get in promptly and get that done. If there's blood in that joint, and the factor level is less than 50 or 60%, then that woman might need factor when she has joint injuries. And I did want to just bring up that there's more than one kind of prophylaxis. So if you have severe hemophilia or moderate hemophilia and regular bleeding, then, well, if you have severe or moderate hemophilia, you just probably need to be on prophylaxis, and you need to adjust your schedule based on how you bleed and your factor levels, how long factor lasts in your body. If you have mild hemophilia, though, there is another type of prophylaxis that's called on demand prophylaxis. And that means you're going to the mountains or you're going out to the country for a weekend, and you are going to be far away from medical care, doing things that are outside of your normal range. You really may want to think about taking a dose of factor with you, or taking it before you go. If you know you're gonna be traveling, especially if you're going long distances, and you want to minimize that chance that you're going to pull a muscle, haul in those heavy bags or whatever it is, dose a factor before you go to the airport or get on that plane. It's a really good idea. So I like to call that aggressive prevention or aggressive prophylaxis, because again, when you know you're going to be in a vulnerable situation, why not have that extra protection? And we want to prevent every possible bleed. So once you know you have low factor levels and you are in a risky situation, you know your body better than anybody. So you can help teach your providers. I have a woman who is whose factor level is 20%, and she's been through physical therapy. She is doing physical therapy, but her knee had a bleed in it a long time ago. So she actually does prophylaxis twice a week, and she has a great function of her knee, and she can continue to exercise. Whereas before, that knee pain just prevented her from staying active. And even if she's not going to the gym or going on a walk, she wasn't able to do her work comfortably and consistently because that knee pain was interfering with her job. So, there are a lot of opportunities for us to prevent those bleeds with different types of prophylaxis.
That's so good and so important. I'm hearing more and more stories of people with mild. Matter of fact, this weekend we have several people that are mild that are speaking at different opportunities throughout the weekend that are discussing this about having gone from having really no treatment to starting to get into a preventative regimen. And I am so encouraged to hear that people are able to start really thinking that way, and even providers are starting to think that way, because it is something that, like you said, again, we need to make every effort to prevent every bleed. And I think that that's so valuable. So thank you so much for all you do for the community, and thank you for being with us this weekend and being a part of Prophy Conference. We really just appreciate all the work you do and appreciate your time with us today, Danielle.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Again, thank you for organizing this wonderful event and inviting me to be a part of it. I'm so grateful to be part of your team and to help you do the great work that you do every day.
Well, we treasure it so much, and I have to say, just talking to you again reminds me how much I didn't know I wanted to move to Arizona. So maybe I could talk my wife into it, but I
It's
do
so
appreciate
nice.
your
Yeah.
time. Can you just be like on call, like globally? Can you just like fly? Maybe we could raise money to get you a jet or something, and you could do house calls. I don't know. That would.
I did think about that for a while. In the days of Zoom, it's almost possible. I would definitely need a couple partners, though.
That's
There's a
right.
lot of us out there.
Well, we wish you all the best, and I hope everything goes great. And we look forward to seeing you next time. But thanks again for being with us this weekend.
Thanks so much, Jonathan. Have a great time.
Thank you. Bye. Hey, check out this word from our sponsors.
Hi, we're CVS Specialty, and you've come to the right place for specialty medication and one-on-one support. We want to help make living with your specialty condition a little easier. Let's start with getting your medication. Most specialty pharmacies only offer delivery, but with us, you have options. We can provide convenient, contactless home delivery of your medication. But if you prefer to pick it up, we can have it available for you at any CVS pharmacy location. The choice is yours. We also know that taking a specialty medication, particularly if you're new to treatment, can come with questions. So we make sure you have access to a nurse and pharmacist specially trained in conditions like yours. Together, they're known as your CVS Specialty Care Team, and you can rely on them for trusted information. Send your care team a secure message on our website or mobile app. They can help with questions about your medication order status, billing, or even side effects. For even more convenience, use our digital tools to manage your medication. You can refill prescriptions, monitor order status, make payments, and much more anytime online. These are just some of the ways we can help you manage your specialty condition. We're CVS Specialty, and we'll be here when you need us, because you are our specialty.
You've got to be able to live your life to the fullest. You can't just let hemophilia hold you behind. I can't say I've ever been a traditional hemophiliac. I rock climb, whitewater kayak, I go out in the wilderness and hike around. My name is Nicholas, and I am a severe hemophiliac A. I was diagnosed at birth, so basically within the first 2 days of my life, I was diagnosed. I think I came fully to terms with it around age 7 when I had non-Hodgkin's Burkitt's lymphoma. My HTC doctor at the time, she also had cancer, and so I got to spend a lot of time with her, both talking about my cancer and my hemophilia, so I was able to kind of come to terms with that. What I would say to someone who has hemophilia is don't let hemophilia hold you back. You can manage the disease with your medication. You don't need to worry so much about it. I mean, I've broken my forearm, I've broken my nose, twisted ankles doing the activities I do, but I haven't had any spontaneous bleeds, which is great. So I've gone from 72 spontaneous bleeds in a year to 0 spontaneous bleeds in a year. If you're having a bad day, it's nothing better than going out and fishing or going hiking. It doesn't make it difficult doing infusions outdoors. I've infused on a kayak in the middle of an ocean to infusing on the side of a rock climbing face on El Capitan, hanging from ropes. So it doesn't make it difficult any more than sitting at the kitchen table for myself. You got to try new things. If you don't try new things, you're not able to, move on and move past what you think you can't do, but you really can. I don't need to let hemophilia keep me down. I can kind of tell hemophilia, hey, I want to go out hiking today. I want to go fishing. I want to go climb a 10,000-foot mountain. I want to go with my buddies off-roading or skiing or snowboarding or surfing, and I'm able to do it. Not letting boundaries be set by someone else, but by my own self safely. That's pretty much where I like to live my life.
Hey everyone, we want to say a huge thank you to all of our sponsors for making this weekend possible. We couldn't have done Prophy Conference without you, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Judy Doyle, your local Novo Nordisk Hemophilia Community Liaison, or HCL for short. I cover Ohio and Indiana, which is known as the Heartland Territory. I grew up in Akron and I live in Medina, Ohio with my family. I started my job at Novo in March of 2020. Although I'm new, I've been involved with the bleeding disorder community for over 18 years. Initially by developing advocacy and mentor programs at a local children's hospital. What I admire most about the bleeding disorder community is your ability to empower each other to be passionate and unstoppable advocates. As your HCL, I'm here to provide you with rare bleeding disorder educational resources. I'm really looking forward to meeting you and learning more about you.
Hi, I'm Mark Pangilinan. I'm your local Novo Nordisk Hemophilia Community Liaison here in the New York City, New Jersey, and Philadelphia areas. I've been working in the rare bleeding disorder community for almost 2 years, and my favorite thing about this community is the passion that everyone has to live life to the fullest. It is truly inspiring and a privilege to work in this community. As an HCL, I'm here to support you with rare bleeding disorder educational resources. I look forward to connecting and learning more about you. See you soon.
Hi, my name is Marquez Washington. I am the Hemophilia Community Liaison, also referred to as HCL with Novo Nordisk. I cover Southern California and Hawaii. One thing that I admire about the community is the social support. Being part of a community that continues to create programs for education and engagement is so important. I'm so excited to be part of the community, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you. Hope to see you soon.
Hello, my name is Norberto Lidiano, and I am your local Novo Nordisk Hemophilia Community Liaison, otherwise known as the HCL. My territory includes the state of Florida, South Carolina, the area of South Georgia, as well as Puerto Rico. I have been involved in the rare bleeding disorder community for the past 2 years, and what I have discovered is the commitment, the passion of everyone, as well as the feeling that it's one big family. As your local HCL, I'm here to support you with rare bleeding disorder educational resources. I'm looking forward to connecting with you and learning more about you. Thank you.
Get ready. We got some great stuff planned for you next. Take a look at this.